Hi guys, in today's video I thought I would make a video on the basic fundamentals of Python, especially when we are living in the age of generative AI where AI is generating code for us. It's even more important to get back to the basics so that we are able to read the code and understand the code, because let's face it, we cannot completely rely on AI to generate the code and put it in production without us verifying it first. It's too big a risk. So understanding the fundamentals will play even a bigger part. So let's dive right into it. I'm going to be using Jupyter Notebook for this tutorial, and if you want to know how to get started with Jupyter Notebook and configure your environment, I made another video on the same. I will leave a link in the description. And if you also want to know how to use some tricks in Jupyter Notebook, I made another video whose link I will also leave in the description. So let's get started. In one of my shorts, I taken the case where I explained Python basically is a very simple language. It consists of classes, objects, and functions at its very core. So let's take a look what it means. So everything that we create in Python is basically an object at its core, and this object is basically an instance of a class. So let's take something very simple. Let's say I have a string in Python. This is a string. So when I type this, this actually creates an object of the string class, because if I hit dot, you can see I will get functions. That means this is an object of string class. So whenever I type anything in a string, it will actually be an instance of string object. Okay, I can now also assign this to a variable. A variable is nothing but a container for a specific object. So it stores the address where this object lies. So for example, this is a string, is an object, and this address is stored in a variable. So now let us see how I can access the methods of a variable. Say I want to do name dot, and I have some methods of this variable, right? So I can do something like upper. And now this will capitalize. So this is basically at its core, everything is an object. If I let us do first type will help me find what is the type of this name thing. It is showing string. Same for integer. If I assign number, so now this, if I run this and I find the type of number, it will show me an integer. Similar for float. I can assign this again to another floating point number, and I do type of that, it will show me it's a float. So this, what you see here, this is called an expression, and there are two types of expressions. One is an assignment expression, and one is a comparison expression. This is an assignment expression where you assign an object to a specific variable, and a comparison is something like this. If I say 1 equal to 1, this gives either true or false. So this is a comparison expression. Very important to remember this. Okay. Now we have taken a look at objects basically, which is the base code building block of Python. It's an object-oriented language. Now we'll take a look at something called as classes. So classes is a template where you write your code. It is a blueprint for any functionality that you capture, and you create an instance of that object. So let us create our own class. So I say class here. You have to use the keyword for creating a class. And remember one thing in Python, everything is snake case. That means they're all in lower case. Python is case sensitive, and every word is separated by a underscore. Okay. And one thing we need to remember, for functions, basically they are actions or verbs, and attributes, they are represented by nouns. So let's take a look at a class. So I create a class. I call this class name car. Now the class can have attributes. So attributes are basically something we can store the values. Okay. So there are two types of attributes in the class. One is the class attribute. So I'll just comment this class attribute. So let me give it a name, class type. So this is car, and there's another attribute that is the attribute of the instance of the object. So now this is I use this keyword, I define the class. Now what I need to do is create an initialize method. which I will use for initializing the instance of this class. So I do def. For defining any method or function in Python, we use the def keyword. So I'll say init underscore underscore init, again underscore underscore, and now inside the parentheses I need to give self. Self is basically the object you are passing the instance of the object, right? Self, and then I can pass arguments. Arguments are the parameters that I need to give to a specific method. So in the initialize method, I can give some arguments. Let me say name, let me say color, and I can say also say a drive, whether it's a 4-wheel drive or 2-wheel drive, whatever. So I hit a colon, I hit enter. Now here inside this I do self dot name. So I for the instance of this object, now this attribute self dot name is called as the attributes objects attributes. So you can comment this as objects attributes. So these attributes belong to the object, that is the instance of the class, whereas this attribute belongs to the class itself. Okay, so self dot name equal to name, and we'll see later on the scope and how it matters and what is the difference, right? We'll see that. Self dot color equal to color. So once I create an instance of this class, I will initialize these attributes with these arguments, color, and then I'll say self dot drive equal to drive. Now I've assigned that. Now I've gone and created the method for initializing the class. Now I need to do is I'll just create another method. A class basically is composed of class attributes and initialize method, which is used to create an instance of the class, basically the object. It has attributes and it also has functions. So let me create a simple function called describe, which will describe this class or describe this instance. So I'll just print it out, or I'll just print it out, or I'll assign this to a variable description equal to, and I can say the name of the car is, I just give it, I'll add the self dot name attribute, and let's add another string. The color of the car is, again plus the self dot color attribute. Now I'll hit the backslash so that I can continue on the next line, and I can plus and just say it is a, and I'll place whether it's a 4-wheel drive or 2-wheel drive or whatever attribute. So now the class is done. I'll just run this cell. I can run from here, or you can hit shift enter. I run this cell. Now let me try to create an instance of this class. So I'll say Ferrari. I'll create an object instance of type class. So an object, the data type of any object is always a class. So remember, as we saw here also on top, string, the data type of this object is the string class. The data type of this integer is integer class. Always remember this. So now I'll create an object of this class. I'll say car, and I'll pass in the arguments it expects for the initialization. That is the name. Let us type Ferrari, and let us type color red, and then let us type the drive, say 2-wheel drive, and let us run this. And now I will call the method of this class dot describe. You can see it's already here with IntelliSense. Okay, and I run this. Okay, it has given an error because I have not put self here. So every method that you create, you should always put self. Okay, remember that. See, and Python is very intuitive. It gives you command times error, so you can learn to debug from this cells. Now once I need to run the cells again. I run this, and now let me do this back. Right, and now actually I have created this, but I have not done anything with this method. So I just need to return this back. So return is basically when you're returning something from the function. So a function may or may not have a return value. A return value is when you want to return something after doing any action within the attributes or the data on the function. If you want to return something, you have a return variable. So I'll just return this description. Okay, so now I take this into a variable and say description. Let me run this again. Let me run the instance, and now I can print this description. And let me run this and see, it shows this name of the car is Ferrari. The color of the car is red. It is a two-wheel drive. So now you have got an understanding of a class, how to create a class, and what are the functions of a class. Similarly, in Python, you can also create your own custom functions, okay, without creating a class. So I just create a custom function, say print name, and I can give arguments and have return types. Say name, and here I don't want to have a return type. I just print the name. Can type something, the name is, and same thing what you've done here, plus you can add this argument here. So that is how you can modularize and make your code more usable. Execute this, and directly I can call this now and pass the argument, whatever argument I want. So this is an overview of the basics of Python in terms of classes, objects, and functions. Basically, all you need to remember as a recap is that Python is an object-oriented language. Everything is an object. Okay, once you use a string or an integer or any object, basically you are creating an instance of the object, and when you assign it to a variable, then the address of the object is stored in the variable. You just need to remember this. You have inbuilt objects in Python and inbuilt functions that you can use. Okay, and also you can create your custom classes and custom functions to modularize your code, and you can distribute them as well. So this is the basics of Python. In the next part, I will cover more into details of the if-else statements, the for loops, and the other different aspects of Python and different functionality. I also hope you like this video, and if you do want me to make more videos on the same topics or any other topic, please leave a comment, and also please do not forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video as well. Thank you.